Hello and welcome to Footy Abroad, episode number 13. It is Tuesday, the 9th of July, 2024. You know what? Whatever. Let's just get straight into it. Jake, Mr. Saints TV, the floor is yours, mate. Wow.
Saints TV Abroad, Terry. I'll just correct you there. Winning in round 17, 2024 AFL season isn't for everyone, and beating Sydney isn't for everyone. Boys, we are back. We are back with a bang. And I thank you, Terry. I thank you for your faith every week, holding out, believing in this club almost more than I believed in them myself. And here we are, full circle. The floor is Saints TV. It's St Kilda Football Club this week. Can't wait to get into it. Pumped, boys.
I knew that'd arrive. I knew this day would come.
I'm glad. You know what? The fact that I don't have to share the victor with any of you makes it even better.
You know what?
Even better.
Fair enough. You should enjoy it. It's your moment. It's your week. Pommy, our special guest. Welcome back, mate.
Second home, mate. I've started to get my feet up now as well and everything. It could get loose.
And Mr. Swoop Luke with his great fresh beanie on, liking the new positioning of the light in the background as well. Very, very big fan.
My
spotlight.
Amazon picture frame lights that I'm using.
Very good.
Always good. How you guys going? It's the Pies, unlike Jake's team, the Pies are in a perfect position where we're doing the old the 1-2, showing everyone that we're no good and then just waiting for it. So, not playing our hand. It's like poker, like Pom, like a good game of poker. You don't show your hand straight up.
I agree.
That's a great mic drop moment with the tea as well. No, very good, very good. Let's go around. We're going to start with Jake because we just have to. What happened? How did it happen? Your skin also looked great in your review, by the way. You were so gold and clear. Yeah. You can always tell when someone's lost a game of footy and when they've won.
Yeah, the post-win skin is a thing. But yeah, no, it was an interesting game. I thought we played pretty well for those. Did you guys watch it first of all, just to know how much detail I need to go into?
Watch the
did.
second half.
To be fair, I thought for the most part, outside of maybe 6 minutes late in the second quarter where they kicked 5 or 6 really quick goals, we were in the game. We came out really well. We attacked the game well. We had speed on the ball. Kicked the first 2 goals. Could have been further up. And it was just nice to see a continuation of what I'd seen in the Brisbane game a couple of weeks ago, where it wasn't chaos fast. It wasn't relentless and, I guess, mismanaged football. It was really methodical, and it was led by Mateus Filippo, honestly. Set the tone with an incredible return to AFL football. So proud of him. A lot of players can get, subbed out of the VFL and really just test their mental capacity. And for him, he went away and worked on his football, and he was a big part of why we won in the end. His last quarter, 12 disposals, a goal, a couple of clearances, and he was playing on Heaney and Warner at that point, rotating. Makes it even more impressive. So great team effort. Dougal Howard as well, special shout out. He was phenomenal. Everyone's seen that touch on the goal line and him flying into the Sydney cheer squad. It's just at that point we were 5 goals down, and an hour later we're ahead and winning. So it's those little acts that make the difference.
Wow, that Mateus Filippo interview post game. I don't know who he did it with. So good to see him speak so candidly at such a young age. I remember when Pommy did an interview with him for the draft series. I was pretty impressed with him then, but he's got something character-wise. He's a good player, obviously, and he's always going to get there, but he's got a character about him that he's going to shine through. Yeah.
I watched that last night, and he doesn't fumble. He just knows where he's at. He knows what he needs to do. There's no second guessing with him. And I love the part where they asked him about whether it was his choice or Ross's choice to go back to the seconds, and his answer from that. The kid's got his head on right, and I'm really pumped to see what he can deliver in the next 6 weeks. It doesn't matter if we get the wins, but it's seeing him and these other players develop, which is crucial for our future. And even Ari Shawmaker, I mean, there was a passage where he bombed it, and it was a free kick to them, but he kicked it from 70 out, and it was so loud. It was just good to have that energy back at Marvel. It's been a while, 30,000, and Sydney have got a lot of supporters, and they all turned up in droves, as you'd expect. And we got louder as the game went on, because you start to believe, you start to think something's brewing here, and it's long overdue. It's been a tough season. We've lost a lot of close games, so it's good to win one, and let alone against the top team, it makes it even better.
He's up and about. Of
course he is.
Luke, what happened to the Pies? What was the story?
Fuck, what didn't happen? We did the opposite of what we've been doing the last couple of weeks. We've been finishing fast these last few weeks, and we wanted to start fast, so that's what we did. Jack Crisp's 3 goals in under a minute 30 or whatever it was, and Essendon didn't touch the ball within that 2-minute time period, and then we didn't touch the ball for the next 3 quarters. So it was it was a bit of a seesawing event energy wise for us. Just the fundamentals were wrong, and I know that's so cliche and so easy to say, but broken. I'd love to see, and we can't see it, but I'd love to see a broken stat tackle, because I feel like they were just running through us, and we were just putting an arm out, putting a couple of hands out, and just getting run through. And I want to straight up. I've been saying that I haven't seen enough of Essendon, and they're been pretenders for me. But on Friday, seeing them up close, doing what they did to us. I know we're not in the best of form, but doing what they did to us, just running through, reminded me of the Pies last year. I don't know how deep they'll bat into September, but they're going to be a force. Like that caddy looks really good. They've got a bunch of really good younger players. And the Pies just need to go back and do their homework, and we have another big. All of our games from here on in are big, in the scheme of things, but just big in general. Like another 80,000 plus on Friday night against the Cats. So it's going to be interesting. Hopefully Jamie Elliott comes back. A bit of our X factor, and it's going to be a big 7 weeks.
Can I ask you something quickly? Would you have won that game with Mason Cox based on?
Would we have won the game with Mason Cox? Um, I don't think so. He would have helped us though. I don't think we wouldn't have won the game. He's not going to kick 4 goals. He helps the structure because we don't have a tall forward line. We don't have a tall forward line. Like he helps the structure. He's not going to kick you 5-6 goals. He's not going to win you games off the back of his own boot. But to help Darcy Cameron in the ruck, who hasn't had anyone sort of helping him for 7 weeks. Nathan Kruger's not a ruckman. Billy Frampton's not a ruckman. Doing it all on his own. Most teams play 2 rucks. And Cox is a really good tap ruckman, and he's got height. Like even if he doesn't mark the ball in the forward line, he brings it to ground. And Brody Mychek has to get the number 1 defender. And I can see what Kane is saying, but I can also see what Sam is saying. And I don't really agree with Sam McClure on most days, but I can see both camps. He's not going to win you games, but for structure, absolutely huge.
Having a target. No, it's true.
Yeah.
Synchronized drinking.
Pommy. What happened to the Blues, mate?
Oh, fuck me. It was a little bit like probably how I'd imagine a wedding night from hell. Right? First quarter, it looked like this was going to be the night of your life. You know, you had birds around your head. There was music. There was violins. You were like, this is it. This is like the movies. But then it was over in 5 minutes and your partner's outside on the balcony having a cigarette and you're feeling a little bit sloppy and unfulfilled. That's how I describe it. We spent our credits early and GWS really did put on a show. They out-Carlton and it was, I'd say, a humbling towards the end. We came back and we showed a little bit and we showed that we've got a bit of chutzpah about us, but it just showed you the levels of this game. We've been saying this ad hoc, as confident as we have been. There's about 10 sides that can win this league on their day. St Kilda, miraculous. I'd like to take some credit for Filippo's game as well. I might have slid into his DMs pre-game. So could be the Pom rev up. But serious though. St Kilda put on a masterclass to really put a bit of pressure and make Sydney hurry up. And you saw that with the Blues. And both Sydney and Carlton now have probably shown the rest of the competition we ain't as good as we think we are. We are beatable. So it's our job now to have a real big day on the training track and come out and slay them doggies. So, it wasn't good. But, I mean, as long as Jake's happy, I'm happy. I mean, that's the most emotion I've seen Jake show on this show.
Yeah, he was.
I don't give it away for free. The boys are good at earn it. And they definitely
work for it.
They absolutely did. They did the job.
When was the last show that we did where the Saints won and the rest of us lost? Have we done one yet?
I feel like this is the first.
Yeah, I don't think there has been a show like that.
There's been like weeks where we've won, someone else has won, and someone else has lost, or someone had the bye. I think that's happened a few times, but this is the first time. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they're going to make a run. They are. They're going to make a run.
Crows this week. Crows this week away is going to be interesting. No Rankin though, so that helps. I'll be there.
Yeah.
I'll be there, flying there. And then we've got West, and then we've got 6 games in a row at Marvel after that.
Okay.
To finish the year. West Coast after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's buckle up, ladies and gents, because it's the Jake show for the next couple of months. I can smell it.
I'll take it.
No, it's good. It's good. All right, let's get cracking. We're going to get into our topics. We've each got one. Who would like to go first?
I'll go first, because I haven't been on here for a couple of weeks, so we'll kick it off. So I got a topic. It was actually a comment, and I can't find who said it. It was on one of my Facebook posts, but it was a post about Josh Carmichael. So for those who sort of don't follow the Pies at the moment, Josh Carmichael, Collingwood player, young Collingwood player, had to go to the independent concussion review panel because he's been concussed 3 times since September, since an elimination final in the VFL, and he's had concussion symptoms since pre-season, since the start of the year. And he just hasn't been able to get up. He played a game and then same sort of thing, hasn't been able to get it up. And he's probably leaning towards the Nathan Murphy and Brayshaw line where he will have to be medically retired. I think he's only 24. He was a mid-season draft pick, and which is so sad, right? It sucks. And there was that Western Bulldogs guy who just got drafted, and the same thing happened to him. He's only like 19 or something. I forget his name, and it's really sad, and disappointing on his sort of career and stuff like that. But the health is paramount. But anyway, this comment said that the AFL, and I thought it was really cool, something I hadn't thought about. The AFL should create a pathway where these players who've been medically retired, obviously they have the passion for the football because they wouldn't be playing it. If not, they should create a pathway where they become AFL umpires of some sort of variety. So there's no need for, sorry, not no need. There isn't a lot of umpires at the moment coming through the system. And these guys have been living and breathing football for so long, and it's the new age of, you look at the umpires now, there's not really any younger guys coming through. So you look at Nathan Murphy or obviously Collingwood or Josh Carmichael, these sort of young guys where they can still be involved with football, they can still be involved with the clubs and all that sort of stuff on the big stage. And I thought that'd be really cool idea where it's guys that know the rules inside and out. They've already got the fitness up, and it's just a sort of another pathway where it's like you can still be in the AFL environment. You don't have to go away from us, and you can just help us to help you, really.
Well, we've got to find a way to get future umpires into the game somehow.
Exactly. They're not coming through, and I know it's pretty rare that people will be medically retired because of this. It's obviously not happening every single week, but I thought it'd be a good idea to get the umpires, through. Like, we know, umpire abuse and all this sort of stuff. Kids don't want to umpire. Like, you know what I mean? There's no sort of, there is pathways, but no one's sort of doing it after all the abuse and hate that they cop. Like, could you guys think of anything else that, how could we get these medically retired players still in the AFL system? Coaching but I think the umpiring thing is killing two birds with one stone.
Do you think someone who's a former player, okay, so let's just take, Carmichael as the example. Do you think they would command more respect generally from the public if they entered their hat into the ring as an umpire, got trained up, and then started umpiring their first game this weekend?
I reckon.
I think so too.
Yeah, because you've got that leeway of like, he's, we're so sad for him. He's been medically retired, and we're going to give him a go. He's going to make some mistakes, but we're going to give him a sort of go. Umpires at the moment, I sort of like pigeons. You never see a baby pigeon. They just appear. You know what I mean? So with these umpires just appear. They're just like 40 years old and they're just running around. So at least, so at least with these newer sort of players, or these players that have been, that are young, they can come through the systems. Like Lee Fisher, obviously he was an ex-football player. I don't know if there's any other ex-football players. David Roden's a goal umpire.
Yeah, but how did he get there? Like, did he do VFL? Did he lead up to it, or did he just suddenly overnight become a goal umpire?
I think it was the VFL is the pathway. It'd have to be.
Yeah.
I like it. It's a good way to keep them into the game.
Yeah, and I think it's a good way to just just help them. Yeah, be still present, and they get they're in the inner sanctum. They've been umpired by these new rules for so long. Now they can kind of bring a fresh new look into the umpiring system.
Do we know that a lot of these players would actually want to be umpires, or are we assuming
that's
they
the
would
other
want
thing
to be? Because they can
just
still pursue other things,
assuming.
right?
100%. Yeah.
Because it's not full time. They wouldn't get paid what they could get paid somewhere else.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's just, I think it's just a good little how's it going,
Do you think that with one of the most confusing things about our game is there seems to be different interpretations based on different umpires, right? And I think we all agree that 90% of the umpires probably have played the game, just probably not at the elite level. You'd imagine every AFL umpire has kicked a footy at some type of level because this is your native game. Do you think there might be an area, though, grey area? So say someone like Josh Carmichael, who's played it in probably the worst umpired period of football, he may start interpreting, say, the holding the ball rule, which is hot. a little bit differently because he'll come at it on a player's point of view, which then could cause even more disparity between the decisions. So just going with GWS game, the St Kilda game, the two games that I did watch in full start to finish, some players were getting pinged for holding the ball depending on what area of the ground they were, where the other umpires kind of let it go a little bit. I think that not would exasperate the situation unless we got at least half of them as ex-players.
Yeah,
it's the hardest game to umpire in the world, you know?
Yeah. Would they have a better read on these decisions? Do you think they'd have a better feel for the game because they've been in it? Or do you think so? It would be worse, like they'd overanalyze?
I think that would be the benefit. They would know sort of what
like
the
they
players
know what
are thinking.
prior is. If they were in that situation, they know what they would want to be paid. Or is that going to add to the confusion?
Well, aren't ex-players the most qualified to umpire a game?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, well, yeah, you'd hope so, yeah.
You know? And maybe maybe some of the issues that we're experiencing now. I mean, I personally think we're looking for what's wrong with umpiring as opposed to what's right, and we're always going to find what's wrong. You're always going to find for what you're looking for. I don't believe we'll ever live in a time where we say, right now, umpiring is the best it's ever been. We can only say that in retrospect. We never say it in the moment because that's just not how the world is wired right now, to be grateful. But I would have thought a lot of the issues that we are experiencing is because there isn't a player centric approach to interpreting contests.
Yeah, I agree. It's like when you're at work and corporate wants you to do X, Y, and Z, but they've never been in the sales position before, and it's just not going to work out for you. You have to come and experience that so they know what's going on. Like, you can make as many rules as you want, but if you're not experiencing that every day in training as well, like what the players are, it'd be different. I think it's a good idea. But again, onto your point, Jake, they have to want to do it. You know, it's good to say, oh, look, let's put you in there as umpire, but they're like, what would I want to do that for? You know.
Can I play devil's advocate? It's not like me. It's not like me. But when you watch other sports, it's really interesting. So if you watch rugby, soccer, and AFL, and then you watch ex-referees or umpires or rules officials, you'll see the massive disparity between laws of the game and then playing the game. But you'll also see that, believe it or not, some of the dumbest people you'll meet are the people that play the game professionally. So it's the biggest naivety to think a footballer knows more about football than someone who doesn't. Because trust me, meet a pro golfer, ask them how they swing a golf club. They ain't got a Scooby-Doo, right? Because it's natural. So to your point of where you say it's like working in an office coming from university, it's a little bit different to that because this is an inherent gift to 90% of these players. They just switch off and do it. It's God has blessed them with talent beyond it. And you can tell mechanical. So do you not think as well that maybe the shift would be to maybe have these players where I don't think it's the rules officials are fucked up. I think it's above. I think these rules are changed. So like the holding the ball interpretation sounds great in theory. We're going to get players to handball quicker and dispose of it. In reality, though, the players have always been doing that. You've just shortened their reaction time down, which then caused chaos in their mind, which Patrick Cripps mentioned this week. It could lead to more injuries. Do you not think they could maybe make them full-time professionals, but have some of these players on a board that looks at the rule changes? So when Matthew and Laura come up with these ideas and say, look, maybe we should shift this way, it goes through to that panel and the players can then say, look, this is a great idea, but in reality, X, Y, Z is happening in a player's mind. I feel the players aren't heard at a rule level.
It doesn't go through
an execution.
AFL Players Association. None of this stuff goes through them anyway.
Yeah, but it's more like a Mickey Mouse union,
right? Okay.
Like,
who's head of that, by the way? Is that Dangerfield?
Yeah,
I'm just assuming he's president of everything. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's just assuming that he's the president of everything.
Yeah. Well, we said the other week he's going to be CEO of the AFL one day, so
yeah, true.
He's next in line.
Big bad danger.
Yeah.
That'll be the day, Pommy. We're doing
Could you?
doing live
Yeah.
streams. And telling us
Yeah,
the rules of the
good
game.
luck
Oh,
for any fucking doors opening after all I've said about danger. So sorry for
Yeah.
your career, Terry. Whoops. But no. I think it's interesting, Sweep, because I think you look at other sports. I look at NFL. NFL created with their CTE. They created alternative pathways. So that was part of the way they negated the lawsuits. And if you actually go and read the black book of CTE in America, it is kind of worrying of what might come out in Australia, because it was literally just toughen up. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, you've forgotten your wedding day. Oh, well. Do you know what I mean? It was like kind of brushed under the carpet. They had to have pathways. So the NFL has pathways to junior coaching, to senior coaching, university, collegiate systems, things like that. So I think it would be really, really interesting to see maybe having a pathway to keep them in the game should they want to, as opposed to just one rule.
Yep.
love it.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Love it. All right. I like it, Luke. I'm going to go next. I want to talk about media petulance. So my topic was sparked from watching a 12-minute video last night. Caro and Jeff Kennett. And the way that they promoted the whole back and forth and, Jeff Kennett's coming on to answer the hard-hitting questions. Boys, it's happening. The industry's falling. Like it's falling rapidly before our eyes. Like when you need to bring in Jeff Kennett to sit in front of Caroline Wilson and Sammy McClure and Lloydo and Kane Corns and that's the promotion, mate. We're talking like the dustiest of dusty at the moment. And also, what are we teaching the next generation? What are they teaching the next generation of journalists, which will come in the form of probably content creators? Because all I've seen from this industry that is above us or before us is gotcha moments, petulance, blokes taking the piss out of each other, the personal jabs at each other. Why aren't we celebrating the game? And why aren't we celebrating the game? And why are we always looking for the scandal?
We're always looking for, well, not us personally, but it's always about the clicks, isn't it? Like their ratings would have shot up. They're looking for that headline. They want those clicks, and Kane Corns does it like one of the best. But you'll have other guys like David King and Lee Montagna to a certain extent, like First Crack and all those sort of things, where they actually go into the game, and it's really nice. They don't get as much coverage as Kane Corns telling Sam McClure to shut the fuck up, like on national TV. You know what I mean? But David King is dissecting, Sheasel's 2-on-1 in that game against the Gold Coast right at the end, and he's dissecting his pathway and how far he went and how he did this. But Kane Corns told Sam that Cox is shit and don't talk over me. Of course, it's going to get more clicks. And when everything is just clipped in like 6 seconds on TikTok or on Instagram, that's just the way it's going. And I've obviously I have never studied journalism or anything like that, but I can guarantee I studied journalism.
You absolutely have. You through the work that you've done, you've studied journalism. For sure you have.
I guess.
As in you haven't got a piece of paper from an institution that says that you studied it their way, but you definitely.
Yeah, true. Let me rephrase. Like the courses now, I think that I haven't seen would be a lot of that. A lot of what can you do to garner the most on the internet.
Yeah. Hold the attention. Grab it.
Yep.
Yeah, what did you guys think of what Robbo said, now that we're talking about this, about Carlton and how they haven't won anything yet? What did you think of that? Was that just...
I actually haven't listened to it in full, to be honest. I haven't seen it in full, but...
I think he went to say something and then he's like, oh, no, I won't say that. Sorry, like, I'll apologize to Michael Voss. Like, Robbo was going to go on a weird tangent at that point.
What's
Classic.
weird is that there seems to be this perception that Carlton fans think that we've done it. We know more than anyone there's a long way to go. We're just enjoying this because it looks as real as it's ever looked for the first time in a generation.
Yep.
Yeah.
What Robbo says, respect. I really couldn't care less. Yeah, it's just weird. I used to love reading his the tackle, his article in the Herald Sun. Used to love it. Used to go to school every day or every week and wait for it and like read it and just really get into it. And I couldn't care less.
Yeah,
Good answer.
It's a bit like that. What do you think, Pommy? You're quietly, something's going through your head right now. I can see it.
It is. I'm just trying to find the articulation, but I strongly disagree with Terry that they set the example for content creators or paved the way. I think it already happens. So I think all of us, let's just talk about the elephant in the room. Shout out Cody Prigg as well. I saw your apology to Swoop. I know you're going through a tough time at your moment. So send in peace, love and light to you, mate. I know you're a Carlton fan and that's very mature of the words that you use. But I think when you look at all what we do, our entire industry, 90%, even in YouTube, is trying to create that little bit of a moment that makes us relevant. And the easiest way to do that is me do a post called Jake a fucktard, me do a post called Swoop something, called Terry something, because the best way to drive people is through negativity, and that has been since the dawn of humanity. I find it incredibly disrespectful when I hear Slobbo speak or when I hear Jeff Kennett have that back and forth, because to me that the one thing that I try and honour, and I'm kind of forced to do this because I'm a foreigner and I don't have equality as you three do, being Australian born. People can always shun me for being English. Is I try and respect the game first and foremost. So whenever I try and speak about this great game, I speak with the entire respect I have for the craft. And that has been the media in the world since probably the 1970s. So I think it's our duty that we rise above it and we give people a meeting point to discuss. And I feel like something has been lost in society, that Kennett and Caro, everything that's wrong with society, we don't attack the words and we don't attack the content. We have to bypass that and attack the person. And I think that's what's really sad. I think we've lost the ability of the debate. You know, the old days where we'd be doing this. This show is Mickey Mouse. This show is the fall of society. Because 10 years ago, we'd just go and have a fucking beer. And Saz, Pasquale, Frankie, Lucinda, Cody, Laughing Magpie would just come onto the table and we just chat shit about the great game that we love. So I feel like we have more of a duty. I agree with you, Terry. It's fucked. But I feel like we have a duty to rise above the personal attacks, rise above the negativity, rise above the clickbait, and try and not be entertaining, but try and be factual and create a discourse for discussions where we can grow together.
Where did this shift happen, do you think? Can we think of is it just the growth of social media that's done this?
No,
Or
it was there
something
social
else?
media.
Yeah.
Because
What was
think
the
about it.
catalyst?
I mean, as far back as I can remember, it was open mic where he would ask the hard-hitting questions. And it would be, he'd get whatever guest was on and go into their most scandalous parts of their careers and just unpack it. You know, that has festered itself, whether it's been a conscious or subconscious transfer, but that has definitely festered into, you know, social media. And I think we're almost getting to a point now where you can't distinguish. You shouldn't distinguish between the two, because at the end of the day, we're talking about humans, and we're flawed, and we're all flawed. How many times have we had the footy banter conversation on this show? You banter a footy club, they've got passionate supporters. The response is personal. Is this an opportunity to break that cycle, or are we dreaming at the moment, or are we living in la la land and that's never going to change?
You know, Richard B. Flat makes the comment, and I hear this a lot, and it actually irritates me because I can only speak for myself. Do you know what I mean? But I put a lot of fucking work into what I do, man. Probably too much. Do you know what I mean? I actually worry if my kids will grow up and think Daddy liked YouTube more than me. And it is a serious concern in my heart of hearts. I think you nail it, Terry. But I think people hide behind banter. So I'm just going to talk about the elephant in the room. Obviously, we know Swoop had a little bit of a stoosh, should we say, with Jumper Punch. And you know what? Both of them have reconciled. But you know what? That told me everything that's wrong with what we do. Because I was inundated with DMs questioning my beliefs as a mental health advocate, because I wouldn't expose Jumper Punch. I wouldn't call for them to be counselled. And I said, I'm a human being. My priority here is being Swoop's mate, making sure his well-being is okay. Have you thought about PMing him? How upset you are? Because maybe that'll help him. And that's the society that has been created probably since the 60s of free love. And you lower your morality code, and instead what you try and do is you create I'm right, I'm right. The best comment I've seen tonight, and probably the best comment I've ever seen on the internet, Yeetus Skeetus, people don't want to be wrong. Don't want to be wrong. So what they do is, when you prove them wrong with science and fact, they have to get personal. They can't just go, okay, cool, let's maybe learn something today.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know what? It's something
Well
I
played.
teach my sons very early, right? My granddad taught me this lesson, and it made me bleed the first time because I tested him. You can't do it anymore. But he told me if I always told the truth, the punishment would be halved. If you found me lying, the punishment would be quadrupled, because distrust is worse than making a mistake. And you see that, and I said, teach that to my kids. You tell me the truth, I protect you. You lie to me, I'll throw you to the wolves, and I'll enjoy watching the wolves eat you. And that you nailed it, Terry. Just fucking sometimes, that Carol and Murdoch, that Carol and Kenneth, just one of them had to say, you know what, fantastic, I agree. Yeah, I didn't see it that way. Or, you know what, maybe I got that wrong. And I was waiting for one of them to say, you know what, maybe I said it wrong. Like, I didn't mean that. But instead it got personal, didn't it? And then you see Slobbo. I agreed with what Slobbo was saying. I do think Carlton haven't achieved something. But it was his belief manufactured on a populace of people. And I can tell you, I'm a Carlton content creator. No one's told me we're guaranteed to win the flag at all. No one believes we've achieved anything. We're shit on someone's shoe at the moment. We've done nothing. Played couple of finals. But it makes sense just to go mental, isn't it? Go mental and go overboard. Instead of just saying, I think Carlton maybe got full of themselves in this game. Instead, what they do is they exasperate. And Terry, elaboration is content, innit? In content, it's better elaborating and taking the piss than telling the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, last night was very disappointing in a number of ways. And then you have this undercurrent that want you to, take a position. I've spoken to both of you off camera. My opinion on the matter isn't going to change what happened. Doesn't represent me. Doesn't represent Carlton fans. I think it was a mistake. And I think a simple apology would have been a lot easier. But not everyone, just because I do it one way doesn't mean everyone has to do it my way.
Exactly.
We all act differently. We all feel differently. Luke, you and I have had run-ins. I've learned similar lessons with you. You've learned similar lessons with me.
100%. Yeah.
Banters happened. Personal attacks have happened. We've both sort of, apologized to each other, gone away, rekindled. It's life. Tomorrow the sun will come out. I say this all the time. Like, you build a platform, you have power, you have responsibility. And if you're not willing to show accountability, then it's a really dangerous thing that you're giving off to the next or to your viewer. So it is what it is. The reality of content in footy world, especially with Carlton, is it's not fair. You can banter a club and it'll come back not in the way that you intended it, to be. Your team shit, they're out of the 8, but I'm not going to sit here and make fun of you, make fun of hype. It's a really simple principle, but Collingwood are out of the 8, and it's fucking
Collingwood are out of the 8.
Nothing needs to be said. Just look at the ladder.
Exactly fucking right. It's and you said, you know, where does this sort of change start? And it really, and we've talked about it before, it really starts with us. Like, we have got such powerful platforms, and, you know, if we can, you know, like I talked about it when I talked about you know, going to see a therapist, and I had so many people, and Pom's talked about it as well. People in my DM saying, you know, thanks for speaking about it, I'm going to go see one. You can just change one person's perspective, and you use your platform for good. Yeah, that's how we can combat all of this gross shit from, you know, the Caroline Wilson's, Jeff Kenneth, and all that sort of stuff going on, and all this sort of clickbaity sort of material. We are the next generation, and we won't do it good, but the people that are coming up underneath us are going to do it even better because they're more switched on than we will be. So as long as we're creating those pathways and taking the opposite fork in the road that these media journos are, I think it's I think that's a good way to sort of, you know, kick on.
Yeah.
You know what I find sad is I find that you know, to me it's very high school. It's very high. I mean, maybe I'm getting too old. Like I probably am.
It is.
No, I probably am. I'm getting way too old. Like there probably comes a time very soon that Pom needs to put his camera down and, you know, just,
Hope not.
No, just do dad stuff and you know things that actually matter, and maybe hopefully get through to someone smarter than I when I pass away. But I just look like everything now is that soundbite, and you know what? When I was a kid, and how I still live my life is I make mistakes, man. Like, even though sometimes some people say I preach on this show and my show, I never mean to. I make mistakes and I own it. I am far from perfect. And you know what? When I die, if you believe the biblical version of hell, fuck me. I'm in for some real testing times. And I don't really look forward to where my soul will go because there's some things I can never redeem. But I've always tried to be a little bit better every day. Do you know what I mean? Always try to be a little bit better, and I'll make mistakes. And you know what? Probably the next time I have a beer, I'm going to say some real dumb fucking stupid shit that I'll regret in the morning. And that's just who I am. I'm flawed. But I feel like now it's masking. And I heard the comment. And like, to me, you know, my favorite comment is whenever I hear someone who's offended, oh, someone's called me fat before, doesn't upset me. Oh, well, it's great. Well done. You've got a higher threshold of tolerance than anyone else. That's fantastic. Do you know what I mean? I've been called Jippo scum in the UK. Never really affected me, but my cousins would get really upset by it, and my other cousins wanted to dig a ditch and kill someone for it. So tolerance is wonderful, but you know what I would love to see? Just how hard is it just to, like, this job is easy. If you are young and you're going to pick up a camera and do this, listen to your Uncle Pom here, right? Don't worry about the numbers. Don't worry about who likes you. Don't worry about the comments. Don't worry about anything, right? Don't worry about anything. Just drop your content and fuck off. You are nobody who just happens to have a camera and hopefully unites more than one person and rises above. That's all you've got to do. But it's not a competition. It's not I'm better, you're better. It's not jump a punch or wrong. Because to be honest, I don't think anyone's wrong or right in this situation. I think the real loser is AFL. To be honest, I think we need to go back to the days of I don't screenshot, I don't clip, I don't drag up a conversation from 25 years ago. You know what I do? I get on the fucking phone or I DM someone and go, you know what, you said this and it hurt my feelings, right? And if you are a good human being, even if you didn't mean what you said, you'll apologize because no one wants to hurt people's feelings. Sometimes we say stupid shit. I say stupid shit to my wife all the time. I don't mean to upset her. I do, though. But you know what? Same with Caro, same with Kenneth. Let's keep it about the football. Football's good, and football unites, and football rises us above our mediocre lives. Yeah. And that's what's beautiful.
And to be fair, I mean, I've worked with those boys for a long time. That was the ethos of the show. And I reckon they've just had a little moment.
Yeah.
But that has always been, and it's tough because we live in a world where you'll clip something and that'll become the reputation for some people as to what that whole show is about.
That's what you remember. Yeah.
And it would be unfair. But it also, on the contrary, goes to show how important your every moment is. You know, you could find 5 seconds, 7 seconds of something that I've said in the last 6 years and it would sound horrible, look horrible, would be
Mhm.
horrible. Does that make this entire thing horrible? I don't know. Whatever.
Terry, spot on. You know what, Rocco? He's a wonderful father. I've met his beautiful family, and you know what? Bad people don't have good families. You know what, Paul? I've spent a lot of time with
100%.
Paul. He's a good human being. He fucking does my head in a few times, and I'm sure I do his head in. But he's a good human being at his core. And Mars is loose. Mars is salt of the earth. Do you know what I mean? It's who he is, and that's the wonderful thing about this. This is different people, different ideologies, and sometimes what's banter to Mars and me, Paolo and me, isn't banter to Swoop and them. And that's what's weird about this industry. Right, that's what's weird is you're watching me now because you're a fan of Swoop, you're a fan of Jake, you're a fan of Terry. I am the opposite of all three of these fuckers. I tell you, totally different in every single measurable way. But hopefully you like some of the things I say, and if you don't like it, you know what? I don't mean any pain or suffering from what I say. Sometimes I say stupid shit, but that's the problem. We're in a judgment world as opposed to just getting in the fucking DMs and just going, "Excuse me, you said this, it really upset me." And
Just call.
you know what? I'll explain it.
Yeah. I can also see it from the other point of view as well, because it was unprovoked using a platform. It was an unprovoked thing using using one's platform. So I don't know. It's
Do you
just
ever
tricky.
think sometimes that they fall into a trap in the media, like we do as human beings? That sometimes I look at the chat and I see names. Do you know what I mean? I see names like Jimmy R. I see Laughing Magpie, and I feel like I'm with my mates. Do you remember the old days? Do you remember the old days when you were with your mates and you know what? You could say, this guy at work's a fucking dickhead. Love to slap him. And it stayed between your mates because your mates were just letting you vent. Sometimes you slip up. Like, I'm telling you now, I've met every YouTuber. Some of them say dickhead things a lot of times, right? Off camera, on camera. Right, but I tell you what, most of them, 99.9 that I know, have got hearts of gold, and they would not mean to upset anyone. And same with the media, but the difference is when they switch the narrative and they turn it into themselves. That's when I have an issue, and I feel like sometimes social media, you find them clips, so it takes off the football.
Yeah,
and that's what Caro and Kennett did. This is the greatest game in the world, right? But that was a little one-upmanship of who's got the bigger balls. And the biggest balls that we'll see are the 23 guys who run out on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday night. That's all that matters. Everyone else is irrelevant in the game of football.
Yeah. Speaking of the footy, Isaac Heaney didn't get off.
Oh.
So that's it. It might be...
He didn't get off.
He can't punch who he wants, apparently.
We're costing the Brownlow and the Rising Star. We've stuffed both. Beautiful.
Oh, because that was you guys as well with Harley Reid, wasn't it?
Yeah, Harley Reid on Darcy Wilson.
Oh my
now,
God.
Heaney on Webster. So who's next? Who can we rub out next this week against Adelaide? Probably no one. It's a shame.
Matthew Nix, maybe?
Matthew.
Nixie?
We're coming for you, mate. Saints train on the way. Yeah.
So that was a long-winded topic, but it was good. Good chat.
Good chat.
Next up, let's go, Jake. What do you got, mate? Got a bit of who would you rather?
I do. I've been just too busy watching the replay, boys, so I didn't have time to think of a proper topic. I've got a couple of ones here because I know how much it was great last time we did it. A lot of comments, a lot of debate, which was good. This one's going to be interesting. I kind of think I know where it's going to go, but maybe you'll surprise me. First team, Gold Coast. Second team, GWS. Who would you rather be?
Gold Coast.
I feel like there are a lot of layers to this one. To me, Gold Coast might have the better youth. GWS more established, played finals. Who would you rather be?
Like right now, who would you rather coach?
Well,
now?
Right now, but for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Gold Coast. I'd rather be Logan Fraser Grant. That's who I'd rather be. He's in the chat.
The hyphen.
The hyphen.
He's got to reach
LFG. LFG's back, baby. Yeah, that's what we like.
I think Gold Coast because they got Mac Andrew.
Okay. You're not
But
going to
they're-
say the Giants after the weekend.
They probably run awfully. The Suns.
Yeah, that's what I mean. This has got layers where
Yeah. So there's the team and then there's the club. That's kind of
exactly right. That's why I say Giants have made a prelim, they've made a grand final, they're semi-established in that winning game, that culture. Obviously, we've seen what Hardwick said on the weekend and how frustrating it must be to have that much talent and to still not go to that next level, which they should be at. Would you rather be on the side of a team that might have the biggest ceiling but might be the most frustrating, or the team that's almost always there but maybe won't go all the way? It's a tricky one to balance.
I think I'd rather be the Suns
You'd rather be the Suns?
with Hardwick in store. Like, I think at the moment he's trying to flush it all out. He's only been in there for half a season. Like, he's trying to flush out all those bad years, like, not that Stewie Do was bad or anything like that, but just of all those failings and that mentality, because it's all we know that football is mainly, in your head. So he's trying to get that out of the players. And that's why, he said he was frustrated. And I love, on a side note, I love that super honesty, swearing at a press conference like that. You could tell that he absolutely loves this club. And I guess on one end, I don't really like the Giants. I think they're way too manufactured, more so than the Suns. But and you're on the Gold Coast as well. Like, that's a positive. You're not in Canberra. You're not playing games in Canberra.
Monica Oval sellouts. Yeah, Metricon is better.
All the Suns need is a rebrand. I don't like their logo, but other than that, I think they've got such a good team. Like, I know they lost on the weekend, but they've got such a good team. And there was talks. You mentioned Mac Andrew, that he might be the next $1 million player, which is crazy. Like, he's so good.
I mean, but is he? But should those conversations even be? Is he? He's not that good that he's going to be the next $1 million player.
Yeah, no, I don't think at the moment. But that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying that they're going to offer him.
He's got. He just played a good game against Carlton. No, I've watched him quite a bit. He's got the sauce. He's got all of it. It's
$1 million though. I remember in 2004, Nick Rewalt was the only $1 million player. That's how good you had to be to
that's
earn
20
that
years
much.
ago.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, $1 million. We're talking. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of mullah.
You know what? You're right. Let's give it to Cal Wilkie. It's the Saints' time.
I mean, he's done it for longer.
He has done it for longer.
Do it for 138 games straight, Mac, and then we'll talk.
Mac is the future.
Absolutely.
Mac's the future.
So give us. Well, that's a tangent there. I wasn't going to go there.
You
I was going to say.
Great. Can I also just add the whole dimmer swearing? I think I'm in the minority here.
You didn't like
anybody else? Not that I didn't like it. I just saw straight through it. Like,
yeah,
you're not
interesting.
Tough. You're not tough. You're not like, you're appealing to the old school mentality that want to hear that no nonsense swearing about things and just say it how it is. I think when your leader shows a lack of control of their emotions, that is a red flag for the team.
Okay.
Tell them behind closed doors, boys, you've got to grow the fuck up, but don't go out in the public and fucking hang them out to dry.
That's playing. He's playing up the part there, isn't he? Because he knows he's the head coach. He knows his reputation. He knows it's Gold Coast and they're known to drop games like this. And he can't just play a straight line like every coach that's been there and done that. He needs to do something different, and he had to make a statement, even if it's.
I thought it was all for show.
Fluff.
I don't think he was really flexing this like muscle. Like, look at me, I'm like, mate, relax. You had the greatest spine of the last 10 years when you won your flags. Just relax. So I don't know. I saw right through it. I see right through all of that. That tough talk.
Yeah, I don't think any of us would think much if our coaches did that. I certainly wouldn't.
Yeah.
I'd say put it on the track. Put that energy on the track and win on the weekend.
Yeah.
Actions.
Having said that, I'll take the Suns.
Yep. Pom, have you said who you take?
So we got what? One GWS, one Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two teams that I couldn't care about. I think Gold
why I picked
Coast. I'd probably go Gold Coast purely because I feel like no team in Australia, if I'm correct, has ever done anything from that area. So I think that would be huge if you could take them to a flag. So I'd back my arrogance to put Gold Coast on the map and not be a place that people go to lose their virginity or wait for God, which Gold Coast really is.
Okay.
Make it about sport as well.
Yep.
I like it.
Schoolies would be another level at that point. If you win a flag. Whew. I've got another one. But I'm curious let's see how unbiased we can be here.
Here we go.
I mean, I'll throw St Kilda because it's a St Kilda themed episode. Let's just go with it, huh? Adelaide or St Kilda? Who would you rather be? Two teams that are playing each other on the weekend.
Saints, hands down, Saints.
It's not even a question. It's the Saints.
I'm just sitting back here. I'm not going to say anything. I'm curious what you guys genuinely think.
See what you've done. See what you've done.
Tom's going to say Adelaide. He's got it locked and loaded.
Again, I'm not just saying this for some stupid reason. I think what the Saints have been criticized for in the past is what they now have on the list, and that is, potential A grade, a lot of potential A grade talent. If it's not already there, it's the Saints, mate. They just need a bit of belief in the culture.
Yep, appreciate that. Is it a Saints all round? Is it?
Pom? Yeah, I love the Saints.
Look, when we need to get a compilation of when Pom shuffles in the chair and he's about to say something.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to the leather. Mrs. P treats me too well. My arse ain't used to sitting on luxury. Am I the coach of these sides?
You're to me, it's if you're the coach or you're the supporter base. Who's more comfortable? Who's more excited? Who's closer to a flag? It's just kind of a mixed bag of elements there. So make of that what you will.
Both of the lists are pretty even.
That's the beauty of these.
I don't want to say it because you think I've got something in for you. My wife's
I don't. I'm genuinely curious.
Genuinely, I'd probably go Adelaide. I think their list is more conducive with playing attractive football at the moment, but it's close because I do love the Poe. I'd love to get my hands on him as a coach, but I think Adelaide. I think they're the most disappointing team this season.
We would be a close second then, surely. Maybe.
If you were asking me if everyone was sacked tomorrow and I was a coach and I could have the keys, I think St Kilda and Adelaide would be top of your list. They'd be the ones you think, Jesus, they're not far away. Either of them. I think definitely they would be the two most coachable sides at the moment. Everyone would fall over to be a coach of.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Club, I would say this about the Saints, that would be the biggest roadblock. And I say this with respect, the loser mentality.
I knew it. Yeah, I agree. 100%.
Not saying that your fans are losers or you're a loser, but it's that what you value right now is nowhere near in the realm of what a premiership team should. You value beating Carlton so much, or you value things that are not as important. When that true belief comes, and I get it, it's hard because it's been how many years since you won a flag. So it's easy for me to say, but there is just a vacuum of belief, which is really weird.
Yeah. More of what happens on the weekend, and that'll definitely start building. But it's a level of consistency as well. You can't just have those little flash in the pan games. I do have one more, just one, if you'll indulge me. It does include another team represented here tonight.
Oh, this is big.
Who would you rather be? Carlton or Brisbane?
We can't answer that, can we?
I mean, you're going to say Carlton.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm putting it out in the comments as well, obviously, because it's not just us here, remember. There's a lot of people watching. So put it in the comments. I mean, there's a lot of Carlton people watching, but...
We'll let you and Luke answer, and I'll put comments up on the screen.
Okay.
I'll
and why?
Luke?
And why?
Who would you rather?
Carlton. 100, not because of who's on this screen and whose channel I'm about, but
Of course.
I think like when do I ever want to side with Carlton? But I would take them in a heartbeat. They've got one of the best spines in the midfield. The forward, those big towers in the forward line. Everything works. Their synergy is off the charts at the moment. And I know Brisbane. I know Brisbane have good players and they do well, but I think to a certain extent, I think the quote unquote loser mentality as well does fall on Brisbane quite a bit.
Okay.
Just with what they haven't been able to do these last few years. And I know they got to the grand final last year, and they were a really good side last year, and that could have that game was a coin flip. But I think Carlton's profile, their age profile as well, I'd take them in a heartbeat. And it'd be fucking nice for me to see two big forwards kick bags of 5 goals each every game with the team I support or coach. Because that just doesn't happen at the Pies. So
Hipwood and Danaher would do that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, sure. For the next do I have to take on their 7-year contracts as well if I took them at Brisbane, or could I terminate contracts?
Yeah, you can terminate. Why not?
Oh,
Football manager
okay.
style. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it'd have to be Carlton.
Oh,
Jake?
okay. Jimmy's, what's he got? I'd rather take some of the Brisbane fans over some of our ones who cry the skies falling after one loss.
We have the opposite of what I
Interesting.
said about St Kilda. We almost we're like the complete opposite. We almost believe too much in perfection.
Yeah. Who would
What's
I?
your answer?
My
I wanna know what
answer.
you have to say, mate.
Would love Carlton, but think Brisbane. Just think when Charlie. Okay.
All right, the floor is yours.
I'm just going to go with my gut. I'm not even going to overthink this. I'm just going to go with, if both teams were in front of me right now, which one would I take as head coach or want to be a fan of? It would be Carlton. Yeah. I think if this was obviously a couple of seasons ago, I think everyone would say Brisbane. But I think Brisbane have almost, if they don't do it soon, they'll miss the boat. I think Carlton have got years beyond Brisbane. I know Brisbane are going to get some good youngsters again. They will top up. But I think a lot of their stars are still aging a little bit. I think Neil obviously is in very good form. I think Danaher, Harris Andrews, I don't know how old he is, but he's getting on a little bit, I think. I mean, I might be bullshitting there.
I really was.
You can play it if you want.
well.
Just
He
chuck
knows
it in
me.
there if you really want to. We haven't had it tonight, have we?
Nah.
There we go.
Hey!
Harris
No,
Harris Andrews 27.
27. Okay,
yeah.
so he's got plenty of time. But I think, yeah, with the momentum's a big thing in football. And right now, I don't think many teams have more momentum behind them than Carlton.
Yeah.
In the fans, in the way that you play. You lost on the weekend, but I mean, it was still an excellent game. You kicked over 100 points. If you're losing like that, you're still doing something, right? So, yeah, I would take Carlton. I think having 2 twin towers, having the midfield that you've got, and obviously the back line. And I really do rate Michael Voss. I think he's an excellent coach. And this brand of football you play, I think, is more sustainable to success than Brisbane.
And we can play at the G.
Yeah.
Play at the G.
Yeah. Anyway, there we go.
All right. Very good. Very good.
Interesting.
Nice. Pommy, what have you got? What's on your mind?
Fucking hell, how long have you got? I had an interesting conversation today with an S&C expert, so that was really good. And it got me thinking, one of the things he said was the pressures in the media from fan bases and football clubs for, you hear it all the time, 18-year-old comes through the system, once he puts a bit of size on, he'll be a good player, and how you've got to negate the size and shape of a human being and steadily increment it. And he gave a couple of great examples in the interview. Nat Five, who came into the league like a wet mop. If you look at Nat Five, his first 3 years, it's hard to believe he would go on to become the smash bash midfielder we ever saw. Dustin Martin, another example. So do you feel that we've seen a lot and lots of injuries over the last 2 years, which is kind of disproportionate to the AFL the previous 5 years? And I know there's some conspiracy people out there who will say it's the vaccine, but is it something as simple that the pressures of these players to try and get the size on in a short space of time is maybe jeopardizing their development? Because we are seeing kids come through the system who are built like wisps. So McAndrew's a great example. Been in the system a long time. I remember covering his draft, and it's only recently he started to get formation in his body, where some players seem to be hitting the gym from day one. Is there an unnecessary pressure to bigger is better?
Well,
I think
there is.
Sorry, go for it.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just going to say, like, there is. As soon as you get in, there's pressure to perform, and it's all got to do with the draft picks. Like, look at Harley Reid. That guy was a tank going into his draft, and he was built. And the academies, or whatever you want to sort of call them, they would have all of these sort of things in place. Is it too much? Maybe, but you want to. They're like prized horses, They want to just strut around at their peak to get picked. Like when McAndrew was getting looked at. Not that I sort of covered him or saw anything about him, but like I would assume it wasn't his ability to break tackles or fend off. It was that high athletic jumping, that running, that athleticism that they were looking at, and then he can put that sort of size on in 3 or so years. But with Harley Reid and these other guys, it's their big arms pushing, shoving, and that's the game that he wants to play. Those inside mids. You see like 16 to 18-year-olds now, like baseline footy, do like Instagram videos and YouTube videos of these players. They look like they're 30. Like they're just huge. They're just big boys, And yeah, I think if they're doing it like the wrong way with not proper coaches and not proper techniques, then yeah, it probably does compound in all these sort of injuries. And we've seen it numerous times where it is like Richmond. That's pretty much all their younger players are getting injured in the VFL. And it could just be that high workload, because we know that the AFL is full time now and they're in the gym all the time. And yeah, I think there's just so much pressure to perform as soon as you get drafted.
Yeah, so I haven't thought about it, to be honest. Like, I'm trying to think of an example even from our side. Even now, people still, talk about Max King in that light. And now we've put the Q in the rack for his season, come back 10 kilos heavier, do this and that. I'm like, I feel like people are saying that, but they're not really putting it into reality of what does that actually mean. Like, is he going to lose agility? A player's going to be like, do we forget that McAndrew is the type of player he is because of his body type? Are we going to go to the football one day and every player looks exactly the same? Then you kind of lose that identity with what the players are about. Like, he's a good interceptor because he can do that. There's Lockie Neal's low center of gravity, but he's tough. Like, that's his body type. Jack Steele, I think last year tried to lose weight when Ross Lyon came in. Now we can't obviously talk about what the weight is, but he tried to lose weight. He was told with Seb Ross to lose weight because we were going to play a quicker game style. Didn't suit him very well. He lost that tackling brutality that we've known from Jack Steele. And then in this offseason, he's put it back on. And guess what? He's tackling a bit better now. And he's not the outside player that we tried to mold him into. We want players to be everything and nothing all at once.
So true. It's like you've always got to be the next Dusty, or you've always got to be the next whatever.
Someone. It's like, just be you. Yep. Look at your strengths and work towards that. You know, even the video of I thought the confidence was great, but I can't remember maybe Pommel but the draftee they talked about who'd likened himself to Pendlebury, but he's a little bit quicker. He made a bit of a gag about Pendlebury being slow. Did you see that?
Oh,
Who
the
was
draft
that?
just gone.
I don't know. Do you know that one, Swoop? He talked about it on.
I saw it. He was on the radio, wasn't he?
Might have been on the
It
radio
was,
or something, and then he
it
got a
was
little
something.
bit
I
of
saw it. I don't know who it was though, but I did.
Yeah.
That he said he likened himself to Pendlebury
Side bottom
and Nick
and
Dacos
Pendle-
or something.
Yeah.
Side bottom Pendlebury. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, and he's
I
like,
think it was-
but
I think it's
I hope
his
I'm a
draft
bit,
coming.
I hope I'm a bit quicker than Pendlebury. He said,
Yeah.
you know, and people in the comments are like, oh, a bit of respect, like, you know.
Yeah, it was Murphy Reed.
Murphy Reed.
Yes,
That's the
Through
one.
notes.
Yeah, it's like even on draft night, I don't like it where they draft them and they're like, plays like this guy. It's like he hasn't even played a game yet. Like, I know we're trying to get fans excited and pigeonhole them into this guy's going to be the next James Sicily. This guy's going to be the next Paddy Cripps. Like, just show me his highlights. Tell me what his strengths are, what his weaknesses are, what we need to work on, and I'll decide who he's like. You know?
It's interesting because there's so many examples. So Patrick Cripps is a great example. People never talk about his back issues and the side, but that year was the year that Teague made the famous statement that we've got him to lose weight so he can be more of a burst player. And if people remember the article, he likened it because everyone was Dustin Martin. Everyone was the bull, but they had the burst speed. And if you remember, Cripps was never really the same player that year, was he, Terry? He looked like there was times he looked ill. It was like he couldn't take off and burst through a player. It felt like it. And speaking with Nick today, him talking about Pom Cotter doing his ACL, and he was told to put weight on as a junior, saying he was like 78 kgs. Let's use the maths. Are you too light? So they got him to put weight on, but it was very quickly deduced because of the way he turns. He wasn't ready for that weight, and like he talked about how they dropped the weight and he was more powerful, and then they added it 4 or 5 years later. Like they were saying, you should be this weight, but if you do that, you're going to always turn off on this knee and it's going to go. So you see it already now. Like Max King's a great example. I saw an article saying that he needs to work his upper body. Look at Harry Mackay, and it's like, nah, just let him slowly get into his body and find his body. Still going to be a very talented footballer.
Yeah.
I have 2 points to make on this. The first one is the short answer to the question. And that is, yes, we put unfair expectations on. And it's because we as the fans are impatient. And for the most part, we, for whatever reason, don't respect the process. One thing we've been doing a lot more lately in the rating show that Pommy and I do is we are, and I've done it for a reason. I've started highlighting how many games certain players have played because you can quickly forget. They can play 3 really good ones, and you realize Elijah Hollins, for example, he's 22 years old, he's played less than 30 games. And you're like, oh shit. Lockie Cowan, second-year player, 19 years of age. He's born in January, so he's going to be 19 for the rest of this year and 20 for the rest of all of next year, like 17 games. Brody Kemp, a bit of criticism, had a few contests. He got outmarked by Jesse fucking Hogan, who's 7 years into the system. Cripps' year. So just to have that space for growth. And I think and I've been guilty of saying it as well, the classic wait till he puts on some size. But now that I look at it, if I think of Kemp, for example, it's less about size and more about strength and balance. And I have this passage of play in my head. It was Kemp's first game. We played at Marvel against the Giants, and he did a spin move, and it was really impressive, but he didn't have the balance. His acceleration sort of threw him off balance. And I reckon if he did it now, he would look a lot more fluid doing it. They're so raw. They don't have the balance in their core, in their bodies. And I think it's strength and balance as opposed to just size. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you nailed it, Terry. And Jake, it's why I do the draft previews. I refuse to do. So Laughing Magpie's in there, and he always presses me for a comparison. I hate comparisons. If I can pass anything down to you as an old man, comparison is merely the thief of joy. My nana used to tell me. So never compare. But it's crazy because that comparison happens, and you see it now. I was watching something about Jason Horne-Francis, and Cal Toomey was pretty much pulling it in his draft year, and Nick Dacos was another level to that melt, like another level. But it was one of the articles. It was the buy in his first year at North. And Cal Toomey said the most ridiculous thing to me. He goes, "Oh, when he was at junior football, he really dominated the game." And I was like, yeah, because he was an 88 kg bearded 18-year-old playing with 12-year-olds. He's now coming up against real men who are looking at this kid and going, "I've played 300 games, mate. What have you done? Taking on your mum's surname?" Like, that's how they think. So he had to adapt. And then you look at Nick Dacos, Sam Walsh. They had so many skills in the bank that wasn't being big and hard. They had evasion. They had skill. They had high IQ. They had the ability to run both ways so they could impact. And I think that's what affects them. Like, Cripps is a freak of nature. He came in too big, if anything. So he had to unfill out almost. Where a lot of them, you look at some of the big bulls that are coming through. Ed Allen's a great example, playing on the wing at the moment. But when he was at juniors, he was on the ball. And he was a beefcake. You look at him now, he looks like a child compared to Jack Crisp. And it's weird because the pressure starts circulating. You used to get 25 contested possessions against 17-year-olds. Now you get 2. Oh, he needs to have a stake. And it actually scared me when I spoke to the S&C because I was like, Jesus, these players have a lot of time on their own to do their own physical rec. Are they going to the gym and going, "Oh, Cal Toomey said I'm weak in the contest. Oh, maybe I'll lift a bit more. They said they aim to get me to this weight. Maybe I push it." And it's just interesting where that comes from, I think. Like, it got me thinking.
I love it. It's a great topic and a great point to bring up.
Especially when it's a more outside game now too, when you think about it. Like, get the ball quick on the outside. Like, I'm even thinking of some of the Saints midfields when we were successful or when we were a top team. Was like, you know, Lenny Hayes was pretty fit but not huge. Nicky Dell was pretty light frame. Even Joey Montagna was never big. Brendan Goddard was tall, but I wouldn't say he was massive. You know, these are sort of completely different body types to what you'd see now in a midfield.
They were still strong, though.
They were still strong, but they weren't. They were built out, but it was, like you said, it was balanced. It wasn't just big upper body, no legs. It was just, you know, they worked with what they had. They used their skills. They used their strengths. And
do you think someone like a G-Train will come into the league again? Because he was
an absolute machine. But the thing is, people look at how big he was, they forget he was absolutely, like, he was lightning quick. Like, he was a winger. He put on size, but he never lost that pace. Again, balance. Like, that's why he was so good at getting the ball, pretending he was going to take a set shot and then take the guy on the mark, run around them and bomb it from 50. He was quicker than every defender. He was bigger, but he was quicker. Like, when they put Fev on him. If Fev can't go on with him, like, no one can, really. You know,
the name, the vibe, the whole lot. Like,
you just
cult hero.
That's a whole nother conversation of when are these. You know, we just don't have these characters in football anymore. We just don't.
That is a good topic.
Can I steal Swoop's expertise? Because I had an ulterior motive. I deceived you, chat and team panel. I had an ulterior motive. I'm sorry. Sometimes I use my power for evil. I'm not always a good boy. But would you agree? Who would you say is the best winger under the age, excluding Goulden? We're talking general winger. Who would you say the best winger in the league is? Because I believe he plays for your football club.
Errol Goulden. How old is he? He's 21.
Josh, younger than Errol Goulden.
No, younger than 25. Who's the next best? Because I don't count Goulden because he plays too much inside as well.
Well, I think. Well, if I'm being super biased, I'd say Josh Dacos. I think cool. he's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
But what he's able to do, like, he's been, you know, last week he obviously had that injury, he might not have played. What he's been able to do, all Australian off the wing as well. And his footy IQ, and I don't know if it's you could say it's a Dacos thing, but his footy IQ off the charts, can kick a really nice goal, but his running capacity is probably close to second to none at the club. And in saying that, even though he's not under 25, still side bottom running still at 38 or however old he is crazy what he's able to do. But yeah, Josh Dacos. Why? What's your ulterior motive?
Wait, I want to hear the other answers. I want to sort of contribute to this too. Jake, who would you say?
From Collingwood?
No, from
anyone in the league, right?
I'll let you open it up.
Under 25.
Well,
Is
you
Sam
have
Flanders a
one.
winger? He's not a. Is it a player that you could play on the wing or an actual winger?
Like currently plays regularly on the wing.
Yeah, I just want a wing. Do you know what I mean? Chicken, maybe a pork one.
Now I'm hungry.
You've got a fantastic wing, Jake. Like, honestly, he's sensational.
When Darcy Wilson.
Well,
Brad Hill, Mason Wood. I mean, Nasiah doesn't play on the wing, but if he did, he'd be a gun.
Mason Wood's been good.
Isn't Liam Henry a winger?
Liam Henry hovers between half forward and wing, but I think, yeah, he'd probably be another good bet. He's only what? How old is he? He's like 22, 23?
22, yeah.
Still a very young guy. He had a very good game on the weekend.
Okay.
I love Teresa in chat. I'm gutted we didn't get you on board, Carlton, but well done. You love your Josh Dacos. Terry, go on, give me a wing.
I love Josh Dacos. I think he's the obvious answer. I'm a big Jeremy Sharp fan, so I'll just roll with Jeremy Sharp. Proper traditional winger that plays the role exceptionally well, like an expert and young. So I'll go with him.
Mate, I love it. So why I did this is because there was someone in the world that was drafted, right, who gets a lot of hate, and I've seen some hate in the press. But this is year one Josh Dacos versus Mr. Oliver Hollands, right? And it's really interesting to see how development works. Now, Josh Dacos, as you'll know, Swoop, you can tell me if I'm telling bollocks, but came in 2017, do you know what I mean? 2018, he made his debut, and 5 kgs between them, but he was known for his attacking prowess, wasn't he, when he came to you in the juniors? He was building this modern-day goal-kicking midfield extraordinaire, and Buckley played him to kind of protect Steele's side bottom, and if you actually look at the data, it's very similar. Now, in disposals on the wing, anything less than 3 is negligible, but the big talk is there was 5 kgs between them, and you actually look, it's almost looking at the same player.
Yeah.
There isn't much difference, but the onus in the media and Carlton fans is he's lightweight, he's pathetic, he's a wimp, he needs to toughen up, needs to be 10 kgs bigger. You're looking at rate of development, this guy should be about 5% off Josh Dacos, who we've all agreed is in our top 5 wingers, under 25. And it's just interesting that the pressure is make him better now, but the data, your eye, and history is telling you he's Josh Dacos in the waiting. He learnt off Steele's side bottom, who's brilliant. Oliver Hollands is learning off Blake Acres, who is arguably, in my opinion, the best winger in the league at the moment.
At the moment, Blake is he's incredible. He's incredible, and that's why before I picked Carlton, they're just incredible to watch.
So he doesn't need a stake; he needs time.
Mm-hmm.
We don't.
So
that's the thing.
Well, that's
We
the
don't
case
wanna
with
wait.
so many players, though. So many players.
Like Jake,
I mean,
wouldn't you?
Max
I mean,
King is
if you
the
could-
one.
Exactly. If you could put a magic pill into Max King and he's 3 years older and 3
Go
years
to
more
Max
developed,
King's first or second year and compare that to every other top forward in the comp right now, and those stats will come up. He was better. Do you know what I mean? It wouldn't be he was close. He was better than those players. And people forget. I mean, we talk about peak, and this could be a whole other segment, but have we lost track of when players peak? Everyone wants someone to peak now. Next weekend, he'll peak. Mateus Filippo, he peaked on the weekend. No, he didn't. That's not even close to what he's going to be in 5 years' time. Max King is the one that everyone talks about. He's the big profile. We talked about what, Josh Dacos learning off side bottom, this sort of thing. There's some play like Max King. Who is he learning off, really? in that forward line. Who's the senior head? Is it Tim Membry? He hasn't played all season. Who else is it? Nick Riewoldt had Fraser Gehrig, Aaron Hamill. He had Cozzy to grow with. I'm probably missing, I think, early days. Probably Stuart Loeb, early days before he retired. You know,
Who's your forward coach?
It's Robert Harvey. Robert Harvey.
Was it Roughhead doing it?
Roughhead was, I don't know what Roughhead was doing, to be honest. And then
he was recruitment.
Just silently Sorry?
He was recruitment, wasn't he? He was working with Sauce.
That was later when he first came in under Rats. Before Sauce, it was something like development or something. Now Lenny Hayes is kind of doing a bit more development. And he was originally midfield coach. Now it's Goddard. So it's a bit of a, I don't know. I think Goddard should be forward and Harvey should be mids, but it's the other way around. So be it. But yeah.
And it's weird. It's weird how that sort of works. Like Robert Harvey coaching the sort of forwards. We had it last year where we had Lepic at one point coaching the backs, which makes sense. But then Lepic went and coached the forwards for a little bit. And I guess that's a little bit different because you can sort of coach them how a back would play against them, and you can kind of negate that. But yeah, you would think that someone who was a jet in the midfield will be coaching your midfields. But on that point, No, sorry, go ahead.
The only argument that I get from people that tell me this is a good thing is, well, Harvey was an excellent kick to forwards on a lead, so he'll be able to tell the forwards where they should be leading. And I'll say, but that's not... That's one little thing. Forward craft is so much bigger than that, isn't it? You need a genuine forward to say, this is when you push off. This is when you lead. This is when you call for the pack mark. This is when you fly from the side uncontested. There's so many other things that are way more important than just, this is where I want you to lead because I was a good kick back in the day. Or I mean, he was better than a good kick, but you get my point.
And you see it a lot with, like, you know, talking from Collingwood, because that's obviously who I only see at training and stuff, where it's like McStay and Myercheck, you know, they're training when they're in the forward line, those guys are coaching the little forwards, even like Bobby Hill, and at times it's I saw McStay coaching Ed Allen, where he should be positioning himself, where he should be. So it's these guys, these senior guys who it's like trickle down economics, who are trickling down to these younger guys, and like you said, Max King doesn't have. He is that guy. Yeah, he's your top class forward, and he's only what, 25,
23,
24? 20. Jesus Christ, he's only 23.
Wow.
Like, he's going to be. Who's your next guy coming up? That's a big sort of forward that he's teaching at the moment.
I mean, like, I wouldn't say big forward, but you know, Cooper Sharman would be one. Yeah, he was pretty good on the weekend. Tim Membry's obviously the senior player, but he's been at the VFL. Outside of that, Jack Hayes been injured too much, so not really been able to work with him. I would say Rowan Marshall is the next best key forward we have, but he's just so handy in the ruck and we have no one else.
Exactly.
Personally, if Rowan Marshall was the twin tower with Max King, I'd be so happy. So happy. But we just don't have anyone to replace in the ruck. But that's just a tangent. But just the unfair expectations on some of these players.
And that's the same thing as with the Roos as well. That's why they need to start bringing in senior players, because like they're, you know, Sheasel and all these sort of guys are incredible. Like, I went to the Gold Coast Kangaroos game, and seeing both teams were good, but you know, they're learning off like an LDU who's won whatever it is, 11 games of 70 or whatever how many he's played, or a Luke McDonald in the back line, or a Jai Simpkin who haven't had that sort of sense of winning and trickling down that sort of mentality and how they go. That's why they brought in it was Liam Shields that they brought in as well, and you know, a couple of the other guys. They need these big guys who can teach them these sort of ways. And I know we're talking about Max King now, but yeah, Max King just doesn't have that. But you can see how fucking good he's going to be. That's the thing. And that's why St Kilda wants it now. The fans want him to do it now. And unfortunately, you know, fucking that bloody inconspicuous knee and has to just gear up.
Do you know, it was a little bit unfortunate? I thought Max King's first 2 games this year, it was like, oh shit, he's arrived, because he was you couldn't get in front of him. He was strong enough to keep his defender behind him. I know this because I had him in the fantasy team and I was watching him like a hawk.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, oh, shit, he's too strong. And so when that happens, it's a wrap. Like, forget about it.
It's really, there's certain players in the competition where it's on them. When they choose to be that player, there's nothing else you can do. There's only a handful, isn't there? Or maybe 10 players in the comp where it's like when they get on a run, you just got to sit back and kind of hope that they don't destroy your team. And Curno's one of them, right? When he's up and about, it doesn't matter who's on him. It doesn't matter what defender in the world is on him. If he's triple teamed or whatever he's on, you can't do anything. There's only so many players like that.
The weird thing about Charlie Curnow is that he hasn't even hit his best footy yet.
Well, it's
so good.
Hopefully the golden age of forwards is coming.
It must be, right? That's
like
actually,
we're waiting for that. Where's this? That's another topic. We're talking about too many good topics, but the golden age of forwards, of goals, of the race to 80, 90, 100 goals again, where it's the Favola, Franklin days, They're fighting it out for that Coleman on the last day. When's that coming? Who's going to challenge Charlie? Who's the next challenger? Is
Harry.
it Ben King? Is it Max? Is it Harry?
Harry.
Who is it? Who is it? Genuinely, we don't know. There's so many emerging forwards that it's really on them and their teams. Once Charlie's got the benefit of he's got his body right, he's an absolute freak, but now his team's humming, which just makes him even more powerful. Yep. He was already good in his own right when Carlton is struggling, but now that the midfield's on top and he's getting more looks, and he's got Harry fit, taking players off him. He's moving up the ground, moving deep, makes it hard to match up on him. Who's on him when he goes up, when he comes back, one-on-one. It's impossible. But who's the next? Who's the next group? People say Oscar Allen. I'm still not sure about Oscar, to be honest. I think he's a great player. Georgiades is underrated, but has he got Coleman Medal Challenger written on him? I don't know. Todd Marshall. Is it Ben King, Max King? Is it those two? I don't know.
You made a really sexy point as well, because, when people compare players, right, it's like there's the whole argument progression is not linear, and it isn't, but if you're intelligent, you can have a good stab when you have enough data, and AFL, thankfully, has given us 20 years of data, so you can see players, but you see patterns, and you mentioned what you learn off. Ben King and Max King, I think, is the most fairest comparison, right, but you look at the senior players they've had in training. Ben King genuinely he's praised for his one-on-one offense, and it's way better than Max King. But then you look at the forwards he's learnt from, right? Sam Day, very good one-on-one. Levi Casbolt, that's the only thing he's got, right? So you can see how that's natural. But then you watch Membry, how he plays. Max King likes to ghost into that pocket channel, right?
Yeah.
That's what Membry's been doing his entire career. You can see that's a habit he's learned from him. So some of these players have to learn the hard way. Like 3 of the laziest comparisons in the league are Nick Dacos isn't that good. And then I'm like, you can still say Nick Dacos is the bollocks, and you can still love Sam Walsh or Zach Butters. You can still do it, but you can see Nick Dacos is influenced heavily recently by Pendlebury. His ability to ghost out of trouble is Pendle's like, where I can tell you he never had that in his draft class, right? He got away with speed like Walsh does. Walsh does that spinneroo. Nick Dacos does the little sidestep. That's Pendlebury's influence. And why doesn't Sam Walsh have that? Well, he's got Cripps who runs through brick walls. And he had Mark Murphy who had a fake hip to learn from. So he couldn't learn it. He's having to learn it in-game. So I think it's really interesting, that progression. But you look at Max King, 1.6 goals a game. It's still pretty good. Like, throughout a calendar year, that's 40. And as he gets used to that midfield, your midfield's changed a hectic amount. And I think people forget that in the comparison. Saints midfield is totally different to last year. The way it moves, the way it uses the ball.
It'll be completely different when he comes back.
Yeah, exactly. And Ben King's played the same 5 midfielders for his entire career.
And they're pretty good.
Yeah. So it's one of them things. Do you know what I mean? It's good. It's good. No, great conversation. Because someone who follows the draft and puts a lot of work into it, everyone's an expert with zero time put into it. So it's just empty words. So it's good to hear that. I think sometimes you just need to cool the jets on these boys.
Perspective. Yeah.
Definitely.
Do we want to, speaking of empty words, do we want to know the tribunal's reasons for upholding Heaney's suspension?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Sure.
Okay. Well, the swing of Heaney's arm was forceful and it was more than a swatting motion. Having looked carefully at the vision, we find that it falls comfortably within the language of clause 4.3b, the guidelines, in that he was intending to forcefully push or fend off Webster to gain separation for the purpose of contesting the ball. The guidelines distinguish between push and fend in a way that makes clear that a fend means something different to, or at least more than, a push, bearing in mind the obvious purpose of the rule to reduce the incidence of blows such as this. Would be illogical to capture pushes, but not capture forceful swings of the arm. The clause states that if the effect of such an action, if the effect of such an action is...
Wake me up when this is done.
I'm not looking at you guys, so I don't know if you want me to stop. Do you want me to stop?
No, keep going. It's just crazy.
Keep going. It's just so long.
Oh, sorry, it's Jake Knight. Fuck.
No.
No, it's just crazy, like that they're sort of. Yeah, what did you guys then think of it anyway? I thought it was.
I saw it when it happened. I was on the other side though. I was on the other side, and I thought he just kind of. It looked like he hit him in the chest or something. I didn't see it until after.
Yeah.
But I to be honest, I thought he'd get off. I thought when they heard a week, I thought they'll challenge it. He'll get a slap on the wrist. He's back in the Brownlow. That's exactly what the AFL want. They want to look like they're going to punish the big boys, but they're going to get them off at the end of the day. So I'm actually amazed that they didn't downgrade.
So they decided that it had to be graded as intentional. We do not find that there is anything about the circumstances of this offence that would reasonably characterise it as other than usual, given the natural language of the provision and the evident purpose of the provision. As we have said, Heaney's swing of the arm was a forceful blow, and he intended that blow to make contact with Webster, albeit not to his face. We are not satisfied that he intended only to make contact with Webster's hands. Then a submission that the Act attracts the operation of Regulation 19.6A2 in that there are exceptional and compelling circumstances which would make it inappropriate to apply the consequences of Appendix 1. Fuck, we do not find the circumstances. This is wild. Mr. Heaney has a good record and his immediate and genuine concern for the consequence of his strike were apparent. This was an intentional strike resulting in injury, and accordingly, we consider a one-match sanction appropriate.
Do they always go into this detail, or have
all they could have said?
Have they gone an extra couple 100% there because it's Heaney, and we're all going to be very
things in there as well.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just.
Yeah.
Do we all think that he should have gotten off? Is that the vibe I'm getting here, or?
I thought not that he should have. I thought he would have.
Agreed. I thought he would have.
Yeah. Same.
I think a strike to the face is a strike to the face. But again, with that, we've seen it multiple times this year where it hasn't been a week and people have gotten off. Wasn't Jesse Hogan? Didn't he hit someone in the face and he got off?
He hit a Carlton
player. Wasn't it a Carlton player? Yeah.
Lewis
and he got off. So I thought he should have been suspended, but that he would have gotten off, especially because he's the Brownlow favourite. I thought so. Sydney have to challenge this, right? They have to take it further.
They didn't. Isn't tonight the challenge? Isn't that it? Or?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The lawyer challenge. And Rankin is 4 matches upheld as well.
Right. Okay. So that didn't even go down.
Another question. So obviously we didn't do the show last week because the Blue Abroad boys were too busy doing the Tribunal stream. By the way, they are some of the best nights we've ever had on this channel. What was your initial thoughts of the Jordan Boyd contact? Did you see it?
I didn't see it.
No.
Fair.
Let me jump on it now because I'll
Mansell, Dark and Boyd, whatever. All right. If you didn't see it, you didn't see it. All good.
While you do that though, the Heaney thing, do you think the Heaney thing going to link it to the Boyd thing, right? Like we worked quite hard on the video footage to say how you might argue it. If you watch Heaney's, there is a clear double look. So if you watch Heaney as he's running away, he sights where he is, and then before the arm comes, he looks again, right? So you could argue, because Sydney were arguing it was careless. The AFL was saying it's intentional. The double look, maybe
He knows
that
where
first
Webster
glance,
is.
you could say, okay, unlucky, but he actively on the slow-mo footage goes once, and then just before he swings the arm, where with Boyd's, we could see he looked, and as he looked, the hands came up to try and deflect what he was doing, where you could say that that's probably he's trying his best. I personally think them kind of things, though, like someone's put up a post, I've just read it, from 2013 where Heaney jumper punched someone in the chest going, he's not a good guy. And he's been clinging on to it for 10 years, God bless him.
Oh,
But
wow.
I think genuinely, like I always said this about Cripps, it looked bad. But how many times has Cripps done that? Like playing that role, has Cripps ever hurt someone? No. Heaney, I've never seen him hurt someone before.
Yeah.
So that's where I think maybe the good guy clause should come into it. They don't look like malice players.
I just watched that Jordan Boyd thing, and this is what I said weeks ago, where I said players are going to start putting themselves in a position where they're purposely looking for a free kick, and they're not purposely trying to get hurt, but they will get hurt because they're purposely looking for something. That Mansell looks up at fucking Boyd. He goes, "Oh, he's coming!" Bang, head down, just to get a free kick.
You should watch the first 10 minutes of that stream, mate. I use my degree. I proved
frame by
beyond
frame.
reasonable doubt how many centimeters he slid.
It was amazing.
He slid.
Yeah, how much he ducks.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. He crumbles like a butcher boy going down into it. Like he rolls up into a circle.
Mate, it's why I'm quitting YouTube. I'm going to do a kids' science show.
But yeah, you can see that. I don't know what the tribunal said. I didn't really follow it. Besides that, he got off when he got the second time. But I don't know what they said was. What did they say was the main? What did they give him a week for?
Well, any contact in that situation had to be graded as medium impact, and then it's on you. The onus is on you to argue it down to low. Now, in the end, they kind of flipped Jordan Boyd in the end, saying they didn't want to excuse him for the action, but eventually they got to the point which was it was low impact. So
but like you would think that the onus is on Mansell there to stand up. Why did he duck down?
Well, this was the question. This was the big question, and this was where I thought there was a big precedent that could have been set, which was dangerous, because at some point you have to have a duty of care for yourself. So had they have upheld the suspension, what we would have technically been able to see this week is a player duck his head like that, knowing front-on contact is coming, and the player that hits him gets suspended. And like Pommy was saying last week, and you get to a final and someone does that, you want to rub out a player, et cetera, et cetera. So, what if I told you that we might be able to watch some tribunals in the near future?
Really?
Really?
Is that does that just David Zeta streaming from his phone?
Maybe. Yeah,
that'd be cool.
So,
like these ones, like that sort of thing that happened sort of tonight.
Yeah.
They would. Like, do you think that it's, or do you know? Is it like a like an AFL stream, or is it like a AFL 360? His.
I don't know. I just know that it's on the converse. It's on the table.
I thought you meant we could go live. We could go in person. Just sit.
Have you ever done a tribunal stream? Ever?
Nah, there hasn't been one big enough for us, to be honest. I don't think.
Fair.
We haven't had any controversial.
No.
Oh my god,
No one's as sad, mate.
We had like 700 people live just chilling.
We
was
yeah.
crazy. It was actually insane. Yeah. Because you're all doing the same thing. You're sitting there swiping, refreshing Twitter anyway, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So, 4 hours last week it went for.
Yeah, fuck me. That's insane. Good props to you guys, man. Do you guys piss in a bottle, or do you guys get off screen?
It got delirious, not going to lie. And then I decided, you know what, I wanted to see how many people you can get on screen at once. I figured it out. It's 10. And so
oh my God.
10 people on screen at once. So like, you guys know what it's like to run a live stream, and you got to just make sure everything's okay. You got 10 people, make sure everyone's speaking equal plus comments, and like you got trolls. But like,
Bloody hell.
Anyway,
Now you just have
job.
strong bladder control. Like, go for a piss before. Swoop to answer your question.
just wash myself with a rag on a stick.
Fuck.
Before we wrap up, tips, lock of the week. What do you got?
Yes. Hawthorn let me down on the weekend. I was very upset.
Lock of the week.
Lock of the week. We got Collingwood, Geelong, Hawthorn, Fremantle, Sydney North.
My lock of the week, I'll just go out of the blocks, is Essendon to beat Melbourne.
Okay.
That's a good
That's MCG Thought I had to sneeze. MCG Saturday night. Essendon to beat. That would another level on Friday. And I think they've got Melbourne covered.
I'm gonna go. I think it wouldn't be fitting if I didn't back my boys in Adelaide.
2 weeks in a row? No.
Yeah.
No, you
I
didn't.
think
Did you do
No.
last week? No.
we
No, we
didn't
didn't
do the
last
show.
week. Sorry.
But I would have obviously done us. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously. No, I'll go us again. No reason why not against the Crows.
Yep.
Shout out Julia. I was just about to say.
Yep.
Julia.
Big supporter.
Julia Daff. She got a shout out. Julia Daff.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I'll go us.
All right. I think I'm going to go the Pies.
Pies over the Cats. That's a massive game.
This is classic Collingwood. Classic
This is
Collingwood.
classic. Yeah. Especially if we get. Can I give you guys an exclusive? A little bit of a how's it going? I'm
Okay.
hearing on the grapevine that Jamie Elliott will play on Friday.
Oh, no.
That he's a test, but he's ready to go. Is what I'm
Oh,
hearing.
a Footy Abroad exclusive.
Which shelf did you find that in the sauce cupboard?
No. It's Heinz. It's a good sauce. It's Heinz.
Proper.
Not that mountain sauce. It's a good one.
What house did you break into to find that, Goss?
Wow. Yeah. It's so Collingwood though, isn't it? It's just like quintessential. Everyone's doubting them. You know, the aura, it's gone, this and that. It's just like typical Collingwood by 8 points.
They need to win this, though. You do, don't you?
They
You've
do
got
need
to win this.
Yeah.
If you lose this, who have the Giants got? I'm just looking at the teams above you. Giants, Port. Giants could win that. Brisbane beat West Coast. Geez, a lot
We
of the
lose
teams
this,
above you,
it's all over.
you'll be a game out probably. And percentage.
Yeah, we lose this, it's all over.
And that's if Melbourne get pumped by Essendon. You don't want Melbourne to win. You want Essendon to win, don't you?
Yeah.
Probably?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love me some Dons.
It's getting
Bobby?
to that point, isn't it?
It is getting to that point. It's squeaky bum time for a few teams. Pommy?
Love it. Oh, fuck. Well, the AFL season's done. Carlton have got the double chance. Game over. Let's talk about something real. I'm taking you Thursday, 5 a.m. The BVV Stadion in Dortmund. Southgate's England boys.
Oh,
To have the second greatest victory on German soil since we took Berlin. England 2, Holland 0.
Oh,
I
it's
think it's
gonna be
Holland.
And I will show the Dutch disrespect by calling them Holland because I know they fucking hate it. 2-0.
good. Yeah.
do it.
2-0. Thursday morning,
Double. Sack a double.
5 a.m.
I'll be tuned in.
That'll be huge. Yeah, I'm gonna jump. It's on Optus Sports, yeah.
It is indeed, yeah. The
Yeah.
commentary is absolute pre-war. I mean, pre-game.
Are you doing a watch along?
I honestly, if you want to co-host for the rest of your life, do not get me watching England games on a live stream.
Oh, really? That's the okay.
Oh, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, Pom ain't doing that live stream and worrying about people's feelings.
That's private
Okay.
that one.
Like, it's war. It's war.
There's no rules. Anything gets said, anything gets done. Yeah, okay, fair.
You can view it on his Only Pom's channel though. It's just a subscription. You just have to pay for it.
Yeah. I need to make enough money to get Terry to defend me for the shit that I say. Nah, it's a big one.
Yeah, all right. England 2-0. Also, just quick one. Simpson got the sack.
Mm-hmm.
Sack.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They need fresh. They need fresh. A fresh face up there. But they're going to pay him out for the whole entire year. There's talk that Dean Cox is going to go there next year. Obviously, he's assistant at Sydney at the moment. Yeah, interesting.
I would love to see that.
Getting the old band back together.
Yeah, I know. Ash Hansen, Dean Cox, bring them all back. It's all set up.
What about the way they treated him though? Quickly, did you guys see the way they kind of told him? And
No, I didn't see
No.
the
like
club
the-
statement.
I
The
didn't
club
see that.
statement. 11 years as a coach, including a flag, and he gets a 2-paragraph statement with no thank you from West Coast.
I thought the best was the press conference where Don Pike was like, "Oh yeah, I'll be coaching this weekend," and Simo was like, "Haven't decided that."
Is that what
was
happened?
crazy.
Yeah,
This is what
Yeah.
they.
Pikey was like, "We'll see you this." He's going to have his farewell game, and like Simo was quick to say, "I haven't made that decision yet."
All they've
Wow.
this is the club statement. The West Coast Eagles and senior coach Adam Simpson have mutually agreed that his 11-year tenure at the club will come to an end. Simpson, one of only 6 senior coaches in this 37-year history of the club and one of only 3 to lead the club to premiership glory, achieved the ultimate success in 2018 to join Michael Malthouse 1992-94 and John Warshfold 2006 in bringing the cup to WA. That's it.
That's it.
That's all the statement says.
Oh my god.
Must have had some sort of.
Literally, for Carlton fans watching at home, do you remember the Bolton press conference, which was like how I'd imagine if a dog could talk and a family decides to put it down because the dog's irritating? It was kind of like that press conference, if the dog could say its final goodbyes in human. It was a train wreck. This, like, you couldn't like he was angry, he was snarly. Like Pike and Simo just couldn't look in each other's eyes, which I thought was the best. Like it was like like when it was the way I describe it is if you've ever cheated on a former partner and she finds out, how awkward that family dinner is. We can delve into that one on the live chat if you want to know more about that story. But yeah, it was Orcs. It was proper awkward. I loved it. Like it turned me on.
He took a few pot shots actually in his presser, Adam Simpson. Did you guys hear it?
I saw that pot shot against the Journos, which was really nice.
He said, you guys can be cruel sometimes, really. I mean, you've got to keep that in check because we're human and we have families. So you want more access to our players, treat them with a bit more respect.
Yeah, I thought that was
a fair
really
point.
And then it was about 12.8 seconds from watching that press conference and me enjoying it to seeing Carlton fans en masse going, bring Simo to Carlton. And I was like, I thought we were good.
Honestly, it's round set. Like, I mean, this is another potential topic, but it's round 18 now. Is there much point in sacking him now and not just letting him see out the season and thanking him in the final game? And like, what's the point of giving someone 6 weeks now? What's the difference, really? Is that?
I think you might. I think you got to give your fans something
to hope for leading up to Christmas. Yeah.
Coming from a club that used to sell hope.
Do you know what I think it is, Jake? I think it works twofold. I think one, it gets the players on the market. So I think right now, if you're selling West Coast to say an Ash Hansen, you want them to come in, no training, and just say go out there and have fun. And we've seen what happens 6 weeks. Everyone plays really good football and it looks scintillating. Carlton tricked 2 coaches into this methodology as well. It's a good thing. But I also think what it does is it allows you to get there early on Ash Hansen. If you wait for 6 weeks and then you suddenly sack them, Carlton are already planning for 2025. So we'll just use Ash Hansen as an example. Carlton are probably going to be easier to keep him as they're starting the process as opposed to dangling the carrot now and saying, here you are, let's give you the head coach's job. But also for Carlton, it's easier to find an assistant should Ash say, no, I want to go and start my career at West Coast. Cheers, boys. Gives Carlton 6 weeks to make them feelers as well.
Yeah, well, that's what happened to Collingwood. They parted ways with Buckley at probably the same, I think around 16, 17. And then, Robert Harvey, the the greatest coach we've ever had took over, which was really fun for 6 or so weeks. But yeah, it did give us, time to obviously go a thorough sort of search for coaches and stuff.
We did the opposite.
Yeah, you
got
got rid of
season. We extended the bloke for 2
extended
years.
the contract. Yeah,
We're like, that's 2 years. Yeah, let's see.
It's
how
like
that
you don't
goes,
want to
mate.
admit it. You don't want to admit that he's going to go. You just want to make sure his package is nice. Yeah.
Mate,
well-
I still remember that night vividly, sitting on the couch and getting a text saying RTB. I'm like, what? And it's like, Ross the boss. He's back. And then I check the Twitter sphere and it's Brett Ratton's been sacked. I'm like, you're joking.
Jesus Christ.
I was shocked, but then also like deeply excited because I love Ross.
There's the leaked text as well. Wooden Spoon Data, good day to you, mate. That video, by the way, exemplary. That
The
Terry made me
9-pointer?
go and watch.
Elite.
Yeah. Absolutely
Oh,
exemplary.
very good.
Thoroughly, probably the best thing I've seen on the internet since I first found Sasha Gray, but that's another story. But the leaked texts are really good, aren't they? Like the rumours, the leaked text. I don't know if you've seen it. He makes a good point. But one of them, and I know it's Reddit, so I'm not buying into it, but it was real strong noise that it's Harley Reid. Now, I'm looking at that Harley Reid was one of the people that was evidently unhappy with Simo. Do you reckon we're going to see the old Harley Reid back to Victoria, get him to a good club? Indecision, new coach, Dean Cox. Do you reckon we're going to see a club try and pull him out? I reckon Sam McClure's like, told you he wasn't going to stay. Told you.
Sammy's going to be right. Sammy's going to be right. Can I
Would
just
you though?
also
You've got a
What's
war
that?
chest. They laughed at me as well, Jake. I had an intellectual conversation with Carlton fans, and I respectfully talked about you and said that you have a war chest, and they laughed at me, Jake. I felt this big. I got over it, but I felt this big. Do you reckon Harley Reid, if he came out and said, St Kilda, Ross the boss?
Yeah.
It's the
I'd say
sunnies,
whatever.
mate.
Whatever
It's
you want.
Harley Reid and Jake with the sunnies on.
Whatever
sunny's on,
you
Jake.
want, baby.
Put the
Harley
sunnies
Reid
on,
to Max
Jake. Put the
King.
sunnies
Oh
on.
my God. Harley Reid, mate, this is what you're missing out on, all right? I know you've had a good year, all right? Max King is parking the bus because he's only playing footy when you're in that midfield, all right? That's what we're thinking about. So,
Come on down, Harley, mate. Come on
Harley,
down, brother.
all the whiskey's down this way. It's good. Weather's good. Let's go.
Every single cent.
1.5, 2 million a year. Oh, I'd do it in a heartbeat. But then there's LDU, and he's looking very good, but he's probably going to stay, isn't he?
He's no Harley Reid.
He's no Harley Reid, I
Reid.
know that. But geez, did you see that play where he took everyone on and nearly kicked the goal of the year
Oh my
on the
God.
weekend?
Insane.
Wow.
That was so good. That was so
Far
good.
out. Yeah. Couldn't
But
believe
yeah,
he had that in him.
he'll probably stay.
Well, imagine the Saints. They get a big name. Sauce does it. Gets a big name through the door in the trade period. Just like a big fish,
I'll be
Just
so angry.
Who was the last big fish that we got? Big fish. Obviously,
Down.
you guys... Huh?
St Kilda.
Yeah. Like marquee sells, like gets people to games. Am I missing someone obvious? I'm just thinking. Well, I mean, Brad Hill was big back in that like after COVID 2020. We got Brad Hill.
I'd say
and
Brad Hill. I'd say
Brad Hill was
Liam Henry.
big.
Though, 'cause
Liam Henry.
Liam
that
Henry.
was-
But I think that was more media led than like more intelligent people were excited. But the media
I
made
found
out like
that
we're
out-
getting Gary Ablett.
Yeah, I found that out pre-game of the elimination final. So I was buzzing. I'm like, oh shit, Liam Henry wants to come to St Kilda, and we're playing in a final. This is a perfect day.
in
But I'm just trying to think of like gun.
would you take?
like-
I'm
yeah.
doing a bit of you to you now. Knowing what you know now, would you still have done the Brad Hill trade for Blake Acres, etc.?
I'm trying to think. Was it just a straight? We got
There was some
something
pick-
else, didn't we?
There was some picks. There was
what
some
picks
picks
did
as
we
well.
get? Because I know we might have used Brad Hill.
Spreadsheet time. Right. Who was it?
Yeah.
Brad Hill.
Mhm.
Yeah, we got Brad
With
Hill. We
three
gave up
clubs
picks.
involved.
20,
Did we give up
23?
picks?
10.58, 23.59 for Acres. Yeah, so Acres, pick 10 at 58, St Kilda's second, which was 23, and 59 the year just gone.
See, I'm more curious about the pick 10. Who?
Pick 10 was Pickett, Keziah Pickett.
Ah, okay. I mean, he got coaches' votes on the weekend again, Brad Hill. He'd be probably top 5 in our BNF. He's a very good player, and I feel like it's again, he's sort of been stunted by the team he's in and the way we play. And I feel like if we can start playing that more exciting brand of football, then we'll see the best of him and Liam Henry and these runners, these pure runners. So I don't think so. I think I'd seen enough. I think to me, Blake Acres, to be honest, was one of my favorite players because I saw something in him, but I only saw it for 5% of the time, and it was so frustrating. He would do these most amazing things out of the contest, go forward, be a big body, and actually take a big mark and kick. That's one thing I'd say he always had in him, was a sort of a clutch moment. And obviously now he's doing it on a big stage, but we gave him time. We did. We really played him, and we just didn't see enough. He's not one of those players to me where I think, we had a player there, we didn't play him. We did. He played a lot under Alan Richardson.
True.
And he just
I would say as well, it's an unfair comparison because Blake Acres at Fremantle, run-of-the-mill footballer.
Absolutely, and it depends on your environment. It does.
Yeah.
I was only excited because he was an actual winger. I remember doing the video with Terry, but I wasn't masturbating.
No, you didn't know you would get this type of player. Absolutely not.
It was just the fact he could actually play the wing. He wasn't an inside midfielder, who could kick. So I was like, yes, an actual winger. But
whereas we were getting Brad Hill, close to elite in that position. Was tearing it up at Fremantle. Obviously at Hawthorn he was very good. So there was no reason why not. Why not? It's Brad Hill.
Today's comparison is you swapping Brad Hill for Errol Goulden. If you think about it, Blake Acres is Brad Hill now compared to Errol Goulden. There was a massive skill gap. You were upgrading 3 tiers.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And then he comes in and it's a COVID year and I don't know, it's just not normal at that point. So it took him a while to settle, but now he's finally settling. So yeah, I don't know. Big name. Brad Hill's probably the one that comes to mind. I can't think of many before that. Like Dan Hanbury. We'll ignore that one. Who else? Not many.
I remember that one. Dan Hanbury.
Oh, he was at the game on the weekend on the big screen. He was at the game on the weekend on the big screen talking predictions. Mate, and he played about 3 games for us, I think. 3 or 4 games.
I got one for Luke with the Pies.
Yo.
Cloak was probably the last, spearhead. I know Mychek's been a great servant, right? But Cloak was the last real spearhead. Why haven't Collingwood had him another real Cherno aura vibe?
We did, man. We did. What? Don't you remember Quinton Lynch's tenure at Collingwood? Absolutely huge. Don't you remember Jesse White? We just go for the big names, mate. Jesse White and Quinton Lynch 1-2 combo. But mate, you talk to any Collingwood supporter, and it's like Collingwood need our sort of thing during the draft time is Collingwood need a full forward. Let's draft a medium-sized midfielder. Collingwood need a full back. Let's draft a medium-sized midfielder. It's just what we do, unfortunately. I really don't know why. I don't know if it
works. You won the flag, so I get it.
Well, yeah. Mychek, has been such a servant, but he is not that big, bulking Jesse Hogan, Charlie Curnow type. He's if anything, Mychek in a proper team, proper forward line, he's like the second or third tall because he's only 194, 5 centimeters, and he was a full back. He came to us as a full back. But he's a second or third tall. He's had to play as the premium ruckman, and that's why we brought Dan McStay in. We haven't yet seen what Dan McStay could do. When Dan McStay came back from injury last year, he was averaging, I think, 1.8 goals from round 17 or round 16 to the prelim. So he did a lot. He kicked 2 goals in nearly every single game that he played. So we based a lot of our processes this year on him, then obviously he does the ACL. But that's just one thing Collingwood doesn't do. It's a Derek Hines special. Just doesn't draft. We don't draft key tools, key forwards or key backs. We love a ruckman. We love to draft a ruckman, but DMR just said we are allergic to key forwards. Yeah,
Well, think about it though. Like Brody Marchek is 192 centimeters. Nick
Well, there you go.
Riewoldt was 193.
Was he actually?
Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying, like, we talk about medium-sized. Do we consider Nick Riewoldt a medium-sized forward?
True.
No, we don't. It's 1
I think
centimeter difference.
I think the thing with Myercheck is that he's not as big as Riewoldt. Or someone just said Curno's only 194 centimeters. They're just not as big. And they've been, Curno and Riewoldt were forwards from the day they could kick a football. Myercheck won a premiership with Port Melbourne as their fullback. He was a premiership fullback before he came to the Pies. So that's what he was doing. In 2018, I think he debuted against Fremantle. I think that he debuted as the forward because we had a couple of injuries and we had to chuck him forward. And then he's never looked back since.
Tim
Membry's
188. Tim Membry's 188.
Yeah.
So that's probably more your medium size. But yeah, to me, I didn't.
Sorry, go.
No. I was just going to say I didn't think Brody was in the 190s, to be honest, in height.
I know my topic for next week, and I'm going to give you guys a week to think about it.
Go.
Trade targets.
Okay.
Realistic, not like fluffy fairy tale. Like,
well, Harley Reid, LDU, you got my answer.
Harley
Blake Acres.
Harley Reid and Baz Link are at the Pies. Oh,
God damn. Yeah, good one. Good topic.
All right, lads, let's wrap it up. It's 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Wow.
It's good to be back. Yeah. I haven't been on a stream for like 3 or so weeks. I've been sick, still sick now, but no, it's good. Dust off those cobwebs.
Pommy, a great guest as usual. Welcome home.
Mate, my pleasure to be here, always. Favorite time of the week.
Yeah. True. Jake, seeing your smug smile, like I said earlier, just it's fucking grown on me.
It's been a pleasure, boys. It's been a pleasure.
The sunny's on.
Jake, this is chuck this stuff. Chuck it on Hinge, mate. Chuck that picture on Hinge. You'll get matches coming out of your
ass. It already is. Don't worry.
It is what it is. He put his name on a t-shirt. Luke, good luck to your team. Actually, all of us, good luck to all of our teams because we're not playing each other. So
let's get the job done.
Gonna be a good weekend. We'll come here with all wearing sunnies on Tuesday.
Absolutely.
I'll be up on the hill ready to go.
Tuesday. Let's do it.
See you later.
Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, guys. See you later.